soon as you tune into and recognize what your stable base can do for you, as soon as you kind of recognize that as your starting place, then it gives direction for everything else. So as we do some work today in that concept of rooting down to rise up, really notice, really take the time, pause, and I'll invite you to pause in a few places. Pause and notice what happens when you push into something. Because very, very literally, when you push into something, that energy has to go somewhere. And if you direct it someplace in your body, then you can use it well. You can use that energy you're creating really well. So it is now 9. I'm going to mute everybody, and we're going to start on our backs today so that we can feel our backs connecting. So one of the cool things to start with as far as rooting down to rise up is the simplicity of the breath and how it in itself helps us to root and rise. So let's come to laying down on our backs. And as per usual, all the props, make sure you have everything handy and ready for you. So as you lay down, let your feet be connected to the ground. You can always drop your knees in together to touch here if you would like to. You can set hands on your hips or one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And let your eyes close. Begin to take a moment for your breath, tuning into your inhales and your exhales. And even more, notice as you inhale and expand, where and how you're expanding. As you exhale and release, notice what releases. As you inhale and expand, notice that parts of your back start to press a little bit more into the ground, and from that you also expand upward. As you exhale and release, notice that you're still supported by a strong foundation. Take a moment to set an intention for yourself of creating this strong foundation today to work from. And then softly opening your eyes, you can release your arms down here. Walk your feet out wider than your hips. And just take a couple of really gentle windshield wipers, just working from that place of movement here with your back against the ground, to start to notice that even as you start to move, you have a foundation you've created that stabilizes you. Then pull knees up toward your chest and give a little squeeze inward. And from that squeeze, notice maybe a deeper connection with the ground and rock a little side to side. And now as you rock a little side to side, very purposely notice walking one side of your back and then you're up the other side of your back a little bit further so that you have a little more length through your back body. And now set your footprints on the ground, take them to about hip distance apart. Elbows to the ground and begin to push with your feet into the ground. Without lifting your hips up yet, we will do a little gentle bridging in a moment. But press down with your feet so much that maybe you feel a little action all the way up into your glutes. Press down with your elbows and feel a little action up into your shoulder blades. From that place, take a full deep breath in and out. And now push with your feet, push with your elbows. And as you inhale, lift your hips up to a gentle bridge, not the deepest bridge you've ever taken, but start to push even more with your feet, push even more with your elbows. And just from that push, notice what happens in the body. As you exhale, stay pushing to control the lower down to the ground with your hips. Pause, take a couple big breaths with your hips at the ground. And now push elbows, push feet. Inhale, lift your hips. Exhale, stay pushing even as you lower your hips down. Inhale, lift your hips up. And exhale, lower hips down. And now take 3 more here at your own pace. Stay pushing both on the lift and on the lower, allowing for that stabilization and the stability in both directions. 1 more big inhale and exhale. Hips all the way back down. Knees draw in, rock a little side to side. Open knees up wide now, getting a little more into the hips. Give your feet a flex and add a little bit of movement forward and back with your knees. This should start to allow you to wake up a little bit through the glutes, through the low back. And now bring knees back up to center, set your left foot on the ground, cross your right ankle over your left knee, and then bring your legs in as close to your body as is comfortable for a little more hip opening. Right thumb into your hip crease, give your hip a push on the right side, even as you draw your legs maybe a tiny bit closer. Feet are flexed. This keeps ankles and knees safe. Take a big, deep breath and recognize for yourself the connection you have with the ground. And then release your left foot down, set your right foot down as well, and switch sides. Left ankle over your right knee. Draw your legs in toward your body as close as you need. Take the left thumb into the hip crease and give your hip crease that push, creating a little more space. Maybe that means that you can draw your legs a little closer, maybe not. It's okay either way. Just notice what's there for you for support. Notice your back body against the ground. And then gently release your right foot down and release your left foot down. Roll over to one side and push yourself up to your hands and knees. And from your hands and knees, set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And as you root down through the 4 corners of your palms, think of pushing, and as you push, let a little energy move all the way up into your shoulders. So you're expanding into the shoulders even as you push into the ground with your hands. Tuck your toes under, push with your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And then take a couple movements here, bending one knee at a time, checking out the back sides of your legs, checking out your hips, noticing the low back. Stable through your palms, rotating elbow pits forward and pushing even as you move a little bit more. 1 more bend to each knee. And now walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Take an inhale and lengthen. Look down at your feet. Push down with your toes. Lift your chest up a little bit higher. Push down with your hands. Expand into your upper back. Exhale, fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Press back with your hips. Start to lift up and open through your shoulders. Before you rise all the way up, push again with your toes and then rise. With your feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, rock a little side to side, shifting your weight from one foot to the other foot, sensing that shift of the weight, the shift of your hips, and notice what becomes light on the other foot. Now, shift your weight over to the left leg. Bring your right knee into your hand just for a moment. Flex your foot, open your knee up to the side. Take a big deep breath. Inhale, come back into center. And exhale, release both feet to the ground and sense that connection that you have with 2 feet. And again, a little rock side to side. And then bring your weight over to the right foot. Lift your left knee in toward your chest. Flex your foot and open up with your knee. Take a full breath. Inhale back into center. And exhale, release your foot down. Again, inner hip distance apart and parallel with your feet. Fire up your toes, lift and spread them, and then root down. As you root down, that little bit of bend to your knees to be able to push from glutes down is really helpful to root down and rise up. So one more time, bend your knees, push, inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, bend knees to fold over your legs. Push into your feet, inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, fold over your legs. Plant your fingertips, you're stepping right foot back into your lunge. Turn and plant your right heel. Take a moment here. We're going to keep our hands on the ground for this one, but open your right knee up in towards your right arm. So maybe it bumps right against your arm. Extend your heart forward. Think of the wrapping action of your right glute to help your knee open. Tuck your back toes and step forward. Next exhale, right foot steps back into your lunge. Center off your hips or switch legs. Who knows what side we did the first time? Switch legs. Big full deep breath and turn and plant your back heel. And it's your front leg that you're wrapping the glute down and under. Maybe your knee is bumping right up against your arm. Extend your heart forward. Tuck your back toes and step forward. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Now again, think of that concept of rooting to rise. Inhale, push into your feet and rise part way again. Exhale and fold over your legs. Stay pushing with your feet. This is a concept that's hard to train into the body. Step your right foot back into your lunge. Turn and plant your back heel. Now push with your feet and bring your left elbow to your knee. Right hand to your hip. Take a big deep breath as you turn your belly and your heart toward the right side. Wrapping your left glute down and under. Extend your heart further forward and then turn it more open. Push with your feet. Lift your ribs. Maybe stretch your top arm to the sky. Exhale, both hands come down to the front of your mat. Tucking your back toes, step forward. Next exhale, left foot steps back. Turn and plant your back heel. And again, push with toes and heels to bring your right elbow up to your knee. Push, lift through your ribs, turn your belly and your heart, even as you keep your knee turning open. Maybe stretch your top arm up. Think of pushing down to reach further up. Big deep breath. Exhale, both hands come down to the front of your mat. Tuck your back toes and step forward. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Hands to hips. Your hips are that focal point that you root down into the floor with. So from your glutes, squeeze, push with your toes. Inhale, rise all the way up. Good. Find feet a little wider than hips here. Even think of maybe taking them toward the outside edges of your mat. A little bend to your knees. And then hands at your hips. Start to keep your knees bent, but push your sitting bones down. As you push your sitting bones down, you're starting to push your hips back. So this is like a modified version of your chair pose. From this place, squeeze your glutes, push your toes down, shift your weight onto your heels. From here, reach your arms. So this is, again, modified chair. Settle your hips even further down with the intention of pushing down. Push through the floor with your heels and your toes and your glutes. With that push, push even more and rise all the way up to stand. Now this time as you exhale, bend your knees and fold all the way over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Again, inhale, lengthen, this time push even more through heels and toes to lift your heart. Exhale, fold over your legs. Now, fingertips to the floor in front of your right foot. Right hand to the floor, left hand at your knee, and it can be just above your knee here if that feels better. Feel free to add a block underneath your hand if you want to, okay? So wherever that is for you, we're gonna start to turn our belly and our heart to the left side, but instead of just turning, I want you to push. So push toes, heels, fingertips, and your hand on your left leg to help you turn. Now, unwind, turning your belly toward the ground, and push again. Push with all parts. Turn your belly and your heart. Good. Now, as you come back towards center, both hands come down to the ground. Feel free to let arms hang, let your head hang before we take the second side. Take a couple big breaths and even add a little sway if that feels good. Now, second side, left fingertips come to the floor in front of your left foot. And again, you can always have a block here for this. Right hand to your knee. Knees stay bent. So again, more like a modified chair than a deep forward fold. So now as you push down with toes, heels, hands start to twist. Turn your belly to the right side. Exhale, turn your torso a little more downward. And then inhale, push and turn. One more time, turn your belly downward. Exhale, push and turn. Good, now as you turn your belly downward, let yourself hang in your fold for one more moment in time. And then heel toe your feet back into center. Plant fingertips. Step right foot back into your lunge. Turn and plant your back heel. And now you're welcome to bring your hand to the outside of your left leg onto a block or the floor, or you can bring your elbow back to your knee. But we're going to take that side angle pose again. Turning your belly and your heart open, turn your left knee open so it's bumping right up against your left arm. Shoulder blades on your back. This time, if you'd like to, you can stretch up and over your ear here with your right arm. As you push down with your feet and your left hand, expand your right ribs even more upward. And now begin to work your front leg towards straight. You might move your left hand back. You might have it up onto your thigh. Big thing is to make sure that your knee doesn't lock as we come into our triangle pose. Take a big breath. We have our arm over our ear if that feels good in your body. Turn your belly, turn your heart more open. One more deep breath. And now turn your torso downward. Push with your feet. Think of that resistance almost as you bring your hands down. Tuck your back toes and then step back. Downward facing dog pose. Push with hands, push with your feet. Grow long. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Knees can always come down. So now we're going to try this pushing thing even as we lower. So rotate elbow pits forward and push. Extend your heart forward. Think of collarbones moving forward. Now stay pushing with your hands. Stay pushing with your toes or your knees, whichever is down, so that your back body stays expanded even as you bend your elbows. Start to lower, but push. Lower, but push. Lower, but push. And then push all the way back. Downward facing dog pose. Take a big deep breath. And walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Take an inhale and lengthen. Push to expand your heart forward. Exhale, fold over your legs. Strong legs though. Keep that pushing action so that maybe you feel it all the way through your legs into your hips. Plant fingertips. It's your left foot that steps back this time into your lunge. Turn and plant your back heel. Right hand, you can either have it on a block on the outside of your leg, or you can bring your elbow back to your knee, either one. But start to turn your belly and your heart toward the left. Open your right knee up. As you push down with your feet, reach your top arm over your ear if that feels good. You can always stretch it straight up, but this time around, let's feel our ribs really lift. So push with your feet, push with your right hand, expand your ribs upward. Remember, directing that energy is your job, right? That's what you get to do with your own body. And now, work your front leg towards straight. You might move your hand back a little ways. You might move your hand up to your thigh. Find your triangle pose as your leg becomes straight. Full big breath. Again, push with your feet. Push with your hand. Expand your ribs up. Maybe turn more open. Exhaling, both hands come down to the ground. Think of your feet still pushing. They tend to get light when we transition. So now tuck your back toes and step all the way back. Downward facing dog pose. Strong push. Hands press, feet press. Deep, full breath. And then knees down, hips to heels. Take a child's pose, whatever variation feels the best in your body. 3 more deep breaths right here. And then inhale, push yourself all the way up to your seat. Extend your legs forward. And as you extend your legs, we get to remember, even as we come to sit on the ground, that we can press, right? So we have a bigger foundation now because more of our body is pressing into the ground. So from your seat, if sitting up on a blanket helps here, then feel free to, but push your heels down. As you push your heels down, let your knees lift. And then push your sitting bones down. It means activating your glutes to push down. And you might feel that your sides will lift up a little higher here when you push. Stay pushing, lengthen through your spine, and then walk your hands forward as far as your body needs, but stay pushing the whole time. This again is the tricky part, maintaining that strong foundation even as you move, maybe deeper into a pose or out of a pose. So push, extend, maybe deepen. Take a full big breath, stay pushing. Push and inhale, rise all the way back up. And now bring soles of feet together into our favorite of all favorite butterfly poses, right? And you can take the variation that works the best. So that could be your blanket rolled up over your feet and underneath your legs, or blocks underneath your knees. But take a moment to press your feet in together. Sometimes it helps to inch them a little closer. And then push down with your feet into the ground. Push with your sitting bones, lengthen, lift up tall. From that place, long through the spine, if it feels good, you might walk your fingertips forward and come into more of a forward fold. But see if you can still root down, press, lengthen. Take some deep breaths. Push down to lift all the way back up to your tall spine. Knees come together. And then we're going to lay down onto our backs again. And as we come down to our backs, we're going to take our bridge pose again. So find a block or a pillow, whatever you have for a prop to set in between your thighs. And then walk your legs in so that you can squeeze into it and push into the floor. Just remember that push has to go somewhere. So as you push, notice maybe a tilt of your pelvis, notice some activation of your glutes, and then push your elbows down and feel that engagement into your shoulders. Shoulder blades inch a little closer together. And now before you go anywhere, stay pushing, tilt your pelvis so your sitting bones are moving down. Yeah, so it's a little counter to maybe what happened when you initially pushed your feet down. So now squeeze glutes, push into the floor, and lift your hips. As you come up into this bridge pose, think of reaching out through your knees. Push down with elbows and with feet. Maybe inch your shoulder blades a little closer together. Gently push with your head. Create a little, not lumbar spine, but C-spine, cervical spine lift. Exhale, lower hips all the way back down. And take a moment to pause. Hands can come to rest if you want. I'm going to keep the block there. So we'll do this one more time. As we come to it this time, we're going to think of not just pushing down to go up, but pushing down to come down, okay? So that's directing the energy to support us. So press elbows down, press feet down, and then tilt your pelvis. Now, inhale, lift your hips up. Walk your shoulder blades a little closer together. Reach out through your knees. Push and expand a little bit more. Now push and control the lower. Think of a little resistance. As you lower down, tilt your pelvis so your sitting bones come down first. And then relax. Now, take the block out of the way. And pull knees up into your chest and rock a little side to side. And then footprints to the ground, walk your feet out wider than your hips. And again, take your knees side to side, windshield wipers. And with this, notice where you can gently push to create support. For me, that's through the heels, and I keep a flex of my feet to support ankles and knees. It's also through the shoulders and the elbows. And it doesn't have to be this really intense push, but just enough to create support and awareness, creating that container that holds your energy. Then as you come back into center now, bring right knee into your chest, hug it in, and then cross right ankle over your left knee, and then draw legs in toward your body. So same pose that we started off with on our backs. Flex your feet. Right thumb into your hip crease, give your hip crease a little push forward, even as you draw your legs a little closer. Take a big breath and notice the support that you naturally have from your back being against the ground. Then set left foot down and set right foot down. And cross left ankle over your right knee, draw legs in towards your body. And again, flex your feet for that support. And then thumb into your hip crease, create that space. Push your hip crease forward, and then maybe you're drawing your legs a little closer. And then right foot down and left foot down. And then begin to set yourself up into a really comfortable place for a rest. And if it feels the best to you to let your legs come all the way out without any props, feel free to give that a try. Sometimes we take a while in between that full shavasana of your body completely against the ground. So you're welcome to give that a try if you would like. Eyes closing here as you start to create shifts for yourself to help you settle, to help you feel more comfortable. Those little bits of extra shift, extra support. But then give yourself full permission to release, relax, and let go. Begin to take a deeper breath. And add gentle movement into fingers and into toes. As you're ready to bend your knees and roll to whichever side feels best today. And now root into the ground to bring yourself back up to your seat. And then connect palms together at heart center. And with your eyes closed, take a moment for a full breath. Just take a moment to notice the energy. Notice what's present. Have a very peaceful rest of your day. Namaste.